The great Zimbabwean chess, Mure Zimbabwe, the great Zimbabwean chess match. ED sneaks back in through the back door while Chiwenga walks into Baku through the front door like a president. Right, Panopam Zindawevan, Zimbabwe's boldest voice. I want you to picture two men. Man one returns to his own country in total secrecy. No announcement, no motorcade, no ceremony. Slips back into the capital like a student who missed the curfew and is trying to get upstairs before his parents notice. Man two lands at Heydar Aliyev International Airport in Baku, Azerbaijan, gets formally received by senior officials on the tarmac, walks into a United Nations summit attended by 25,000 participants from 182 countries, gets photographed looking immaculate next to William Ruto of Kenya and King Mswati III of Eswatini. Now, one of these men is the president of Zimbabwe and one is the vice president. I will let you figure out which one just walked into a UN summit looking like a head of state, while the other one snuck back into Harare looking like he forgot to pay his hotel bill. Zimbabwe. This is the state of Zimbabwean politics in May 2026. And pam tapa times. Pamzinda wevan. We are here for every chaotic, jaw-dropping second of it. Right, let us begin with the man who is technically the president of Zimbabwe sneaking back into his own country. State media, the same state media that would normally broadcast 17 different angles of Mnangagwa landing, planning, waving, shaking hands, adjusting his head, getting into his motorcade and driving approximately 300 meters, published nothing, zero silence so complete you could hear it. No images, no press release, no George Charamba explaining what a wonderful diplomatic triumph the secret trip was. Nothing. Oh, Zimbabwe. The confirmation came the way all real news about this government comes these days. From intelligence networks, from underground sources, from people who noticed that a particular luxury Boeing was parked back on the tarmac at Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport, and the presidential motorcade had been seen moving in a direction that suggested its passenger was alive and on Zimbabwean soil. This is how we find out where our president is in 2026. Aviation enthusiasts and tarmac observers, welcome to the Second Republic. But why did he come back? That is the real question, and the answer is deeply unflattering. He left a capital where Chiwenga was holding operational control. He went to Belarus, then reportedly Dubai, and while he was moving around the Eastern Hemisphere spending your money on luxury jets, his vice president was sitting in Harare quietly, calmly doing the job, attending farewell dinners, managing state affairs, and looking more presidential by the hour. Every day Mnangagwa was abroad, Chiwenga filled the vacuum. Every day Chiwenga filled the vacuum, the factional balance shifted. Every day the factional balance shifted, the June Cape 3 deadline got closer with the wrong man holding the executive space. So he came back, not triumphantly, not ceremonially, like a man who left his house for the shops, came back 3 hours later to find someone had rearranged all the furniture, and is now walking around very quietly trying to figure out what else has changed. Right. Meanwhile, in Baku, Chiwenga arrives like he owns the place. Now, let us talk about the man who is technically just the vice president, but he has been running the show so effectively that international community apparently did not get the memo about the hierarchy. Zimbabwe. Vice President Constantino Gouveia Dominic Nyikadzino Chiwenga arrived in Baku on May 17th to participate in WUF 13, the 13th session of the United Nations World Urban Forum. According to Aza News, the Zimbabwean vice president was welcomed at Heydar Aliyev International Airport by Adil Karimli and other senior officials. Welcomed at the airport by officials with ceremony. WUF 13 is taking place in Baku from May 17th to 22 May under the theme Housing the World, Safe and Resilient Cities and Communities. bringing together world leaders, mayors, urban planning experts, representatives of governments, the private sector, civil society, and international organizations. Zimbabwe. The conference was organized by UN Habitat together with Azerbaijan and attracted participants from across the globe to grapple with solutions to a deepening global housing crisis. 25,000 participants, 182 countries, UN Secretary General level engagement, the kind of international platform that serious, credible, globally recognized leaders attend. And Chiwenga walked in, received by officials, photographed alongside other heads of state, projecting, and there is simply no other word for it, presidential energy on a genuinely international stage. While Mnangagwa was tiptoeing back across the Zimbabwean border in the dark, I want you to sit with that image for a full 10 seconds. The president sneaking home, the vice president walking into a UN summit in a country famous for liberation war struggle and Second Republic dignity. This is the energy. Zimbabwe, the genius of the timing and the iron that kills. Now, let us give credit where it is due, because both of these men are playing chess at a very high level. And the Mtapa Times respect the game even when we are horrified by the players. Chiwenga's departure to Baku the moment Mnangagwa returned is not a coincidence. It is a surgical maneuver. By leaving Harare immediately after handing back the acting presidency, Chiwenga accomplishes three things simultaneously. 1. He avoids a face-to-face confrontation in Harare before either side is ready for the final showdown. The military pressure is building. The June deadline is approaching. A premature confrontation before the Constitutional Court rules and before Parliament convenes would be messy, potentially violent, and globally embarrassing. Chiwenga is too disciplined for the mess. Number 2, Zimbabwe. He builds international diplomatic capital at exactly the moment he needs it most. Every foreign minister, every UN official, every head of state who shakes Chiwenga's hand in Baku this week is subconsciously or very consciously updating the assessment of who runs Zimbabwe. Not who is supposed to run Zimbabwe, who actually runs it. Right. Number 3. He leaves Mnangagwa alone in Harare with a fractured party, a panicking ZANU-PF structure, and the June Cape 3 reading looming over everything, without Chiwenga being present to be blamed for any of it. If anything goes wrong while Chiwenga is at a UN housing summit, it cannot be attributed to him. He was in Baku, talking about resilient cities, behaving impeccably. Zimbabwe, the man is playing 4D chess while most people are still setting up the board. And here, family, here is the iron that should make every Zimbabwean both laugh and cry simultaneously. Right? The WUF13's theme is housing the world, safe and resilient cities and communities. Right? Housing. The forum is about housing. Zimbabwe's vice president is in Baku at a UN summit about providing adequate housing for the world's citizens. While back home in Zimbabwe, millions of his own citizens cannot afford decent housing because the state resources that should build homes have been disappearing on luxury jets to Dubai and Belarus. The government that cannot house its own people sent its vice president to a global conference about housing on an international stage to discuss solutions. The audacity is so complete, it has looped back around and become performance art. The June countdown and what everyone is actually watching, with both men now physically in different countries. Right. Mnangagwa reclaiming Harare, Chiwenga performing diplomacy on the Caspian Sea. The real question is, what happens when they both come back to the same room? Because June is coming, and June is when everything converges. 18 May, my dates. Parliament reopens. Cape 3 faces its first formal reading. The Constitutional Court has already had arguments from war veterans challenging the bill's legality at the cabinet level. Professor Maduk's referendum argument is on the table, and the military high command has reportedly drawn its hard line. Table that bill and face direct intervention. Mnangagwa came back to Harare to reclaim executive dominance over a visibly rebellious parliament and a panicking ZANU-PF structure. But reclaiming dominance requires more than physical presence. It requires institutional loyalty. It requires military that will follow orders, and requires a party that believes the project is survivable. And every intelligence signal coming out of Harare suggests that all three of those requirements are in serious or accelerating doubt. The First Lady is reportedly coordinating loyalist security operations from family properties. That detail alone, the president's wife running ground operations from a compound because the institutional channels have fractured, tells you everything about the state of the machinery. Meanwhile, Chiwenga is in Baku, impeccably dressed, internationally received, building the diplomatic profile of a man who expects to be running a country very soon and wants the world to know his face before that happens. Zimbabwe, the bottom line, the chess match has no winner yet. Let us be clear about where we are. And Mnangagwa is back in Harare, but he came back in the dark, not in triumph. He came back to fight a June battle that every institutional reading suggests he is losing. Chiwenga is in Baku, formally received, officially engaged, internationally visible. He handed back the acting presidents cleanly, avoided premature confrontation, and walked onto a global platform that photographs him as a statesman while his boss sneaks across borders in the night. The WUF-13 runs until May 22. Chiwenga will be back in Harare before the end of the month, and then, for the first time in weeks, both men will be in the same city, the same government, the same ZANU-PF, the same country. And June's parliamentary session will be waiting for them both. The front lines have not dissolved. They have just temporarily expanded across 11 time zones. But they are converging back on one address. Zimbabwe, parliament, on one address, parliament building. Harare, Zimbabwe. Right, panapa mzinda wevanhu, tichange tiripo. Every step, every move, every chess piece. Subscribe to the Mutapa Times. Follow us on Facebook, on Inside Africa Network. Zimbabwe's most fearless and most entertaining political voice. Who won this week? ED, the stealth returner, or Chiwenga, the Baku diplomat? Drop your take in the comments. Smash the like button. Share this broadcast and support independent journalism through join and super thanks. The chess match is not over, and neither are we. Peace.